Hey there everyone, welcome back to Measure and Mix. Today I'm going to be making 3 Dollar Tree Christmas DIYs that have that black and white modern farmhouse feel to them. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell before you leave. Now let's get started on the DIYs. For the first DIY, I'm going to be using one of these shadow boxes from Dollar Tree, and I used this free printable that I got online of the sheet music for Jingle Bells, and I printed it out in the size of 5 by 8, and then I also sized it down to 80%, and then I just used the back of the frame to trace around it and cut it out to the size I needed. I'll leave a link to the free printable down below in the description box. Next, what I did was make a cup of black English breakfast tea. It can be any kind of tea. And all I did was let it sit and cool down for a little bit. And then I took the tea bag and wrung it out, and then I just wiped it over the sheet music to give it that old look. After the sheet music was dry, I just took the backing off of the frame and all of the paper inside of it out and set those aside for later use. I also dumped out all of the star confetti, and you could save that for future DIY projects if you wanted to. I just got rid of mine. And then I am going to fill my shadow box up with these medium and small size bells from Dollar Tree. They were just left over from a previous project. Then I'm just going to take my sheet music and place that on top first. And then I took the mat for the picture frame and then the backing and placed that on top of the sheet music and put it all back together. Now what I'm going to do is take some of this ribbon that I had left over from my Christmas tree decorating that I did, and I got this from Walmart, and I'm just going to make a simple bow just by folding the two pieces over and hot gluing them together, and then cutting off a little piece to tie around the middle or hot glue around the middle, and then I just hot glued that bow to the top of my shadow box, and it was finished. I love how it turned out. For the next DIY, I'm going to be using these 3 buckets from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make sure that I remove all 3 of the labels from the bottom of each one of these buckets. They're a little hard to remove, but with a little Goo Gone, you can get the job done. Now what I'm going to do is take this drill bit, and with my drill, I'm just going to drill a hole into the center of the bottom of each one of these buckets. I'm not sure what size drill bit I used. I just made sure that the drill bit was the same thickness as this nautical rope from Dollar Tree, because what I'm going to do is take the nautical rope and feed it through the inside of the bucket and pull it out, and then I'm going to just create a loop, and I'm just going to put that side back down through the bucket. I used some scissors to help kind of force it back down in there. It wasn't too hard because there is a little tiny piece of tape at the end of the nautical rope, so it didn't make it fray. The only problem I had was with the last bucket because I had cut the pieces off. I didn't have that little piece of tape, so it was kind of harder to get through, but it worked out. Once I had the 2 pieces of nautical rope through the inside of the bucket, I just took them and tied them together to make a knot at the end of the rope, not all the way down, but so that way it was like the little hangy thing inside a bell, because I'm making bells out of these 3 buckets. And then I just did the same thing to the other 2 buckets. All right, now that my rope is through all of my bells, I'm gonna take them and pull them together. I forgot to mention that I did make my ropes at varying heights for the bells, so the bells, when you put them together, they all wouldn't hang at the same height. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some of the lamb's ear from Walmart. I had 4 picks of that, and I just placed it upside down with the lamb's ear laying on top of the bells and the stems laying on top of the nautical rope. Then I took the excess nautical rope that I had and tied that all together, and then I brought the 2 ends of that nautical rope up and tied that in a little knot so that way I'd have a loop to hang this whole thing when I was done. Now I'm going to take some more of that ribbon from Walmart and I'm going to create a bow with it. So what I did was I just folded it over, making sure that the right side of the ribbon, the pattern side of the ribbon, was facing up, and I just kept folding the ribbon over onto itself, layering it, and I think I did that 10 times, and then I just cut it off, and I took another piece of that ribbon and I tied the center of what's going to be my bow, and then I just took those loops and fluff those out until I made this look more like a bow. Then I just took some hot glue and I hot glued the bow down to where I had tied the nautical rope, and that was it. For the last DIY, I'm going to be using 3 of these frames from Dollar Tree that have the wording in them. It doesn't matter what wording is in them because I'm going to be removing that anyways. So I just flipped over the frame and I used this box cutter from Dollar Tree to start scraping away at each of the letters. At first, I was really gentle with scraping at the letters because I was afraid I was going to scratch the glass. Well, I think it's actually plastic. I don't think it's really glass inside of here. But it actually did not scratch this at all, which I was really surprised about. So that was nice. So it went a lot quicker once I realized that, and I just started scraping away at each letter to take those off. You could also use one of the flat scrapers Dollar Tree sells to scrape these letters off too. I just did this to all 3 picture frames. Now I'm going to take these 3 galvanized words, believe, peace, and joy. They come in a 3-pack from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to glue them in the center of each one of these frames. As you can see, I used super glue to glue the words down instead of hot glue because hot glue just dries instantly and you won't be able to actually glue it down before you get it placed onto the frame. So super glue works a lot better. You just have to use it sparingly. You don't want to put too much on because then it'll seep out the sides and you'll have a big mess. Because I want all of my DIYs to coordinate, I'm going to use some of that same ribbon from Walmart, and I am just going to wrap one side of the frame with that ribbon. I just pulled it tight around the one side of the frame and then hot glued it down. Then I am just taking some of that ribbon and making a simple bow like I did for the first project, and then I'm hot gluing that down to the corner. The only difference between this bow and the first project's bow is I did add tails to this one, so I just cut off 2 extra pieces of ribbon and hot glued those underneath the bow, and then I just cut the ends of the tails. And then I did the same thing with the ribbon to the peace sign because the peace and the joy words were smaller than the believe. So I did something different to the believe, and you'll see that in a minute. So the joy and the peace will match, and I'm doing the same thing, making a bow and adding the tails and hot gluing it to the corners. Now for the believe sign, like I said, I did something a little bit different here. I just added the ribbon to the bottom of the sign underneath the word believe instead of on the side of the word, just because believe was a little bit longer of a word and there wasn't that much space left over on the sides to put the ribbon. So I thought underneath it would look fine that way and kind of break up the piece just a little bit, and you could put the believe in the middle of the peace and joy sign. So I just did the same thing. I added my ribbon and then I made a bow and I hot glued that bow to the center of my ribbon, and that was it for this project. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Click on these other 2 videos to get some more Christmas inspiration, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.